Well, hey, Diet Disruptors, Carrie here. And you all know by now that my favorite episodes are when I get to bring on a guest. And we have been doing a series all about our coaches. And today is this amazing kind of combination of a client slash coach. Now, all of our coaches were clients because they have to be in order to be a coach. But Karen Lynne is currently a client. Like, she hasn't been with us for all that long, and she's already like, put me in, coach. I gotta work with people. So we're like overlapping a little bit. That's how much success and how I think just how much joy and love you have for what we do. So everybody, please say hello and write in the comments, hey to Karen Lynne. And it's Karen Lynne, 2 words.
Yes.
It's not Karen. It's not Carolyn. It's Karen Lynne.
Yep.
Karen Lynne, hello you're from Nebraska.
I am.
Dream life and just living it all up. So thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm in Nebraska. I'm loving it here, and I'm just loving life. This is great.
I love it. So I actually got a chance to meet with you before you became a client and had heard your story. And I remember thinking, gosh, if this woman ends up working with us, I swear she could have such a transformation. And it's like, sometimes I get those people kind of in my head, and I was right. I love it when I'm right. I love it when I'm right. So tell us a little bit about your story and kind of how you found us, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, I have been a professional dieter my entire life. I think I always joke that I was on Weight Watchers in utero because my mom was also a professional dieter. And I remember being in brownies in the 1st grade, and our brownie leader brought in a nutritionist person, and we were talking about, healthy portions and stuff. And she said, how big is a serving of chicken breasts? Thinking we were going to say, oh, about this big. And I said, 4 ounces.
Oh my God.
And the woman's face, and I don't even know how I knew that. I don't even know, but I was just raised just in that life. And
so I have always, a lot of times a mom doesn't even realize how much of an influence they think they're keeping it from their kids, and they really aren't.
Yeah. And it's my mom and I did Jane Fonda together on record album with the little book.
With the leg warmers? Did you have your leg warmers?
So we enjoyed, it's not like I was in a, terrible, I had a wonderful relationship with my mom, but she was always trying to be healthy. And therefore I was always trying to be healthy as well. But for us, being healthy meant finding the right diet, finding the right system. Let's just keep looking until we find it. And, I just had some, I was always fighting my weight. I remember in junior high school, I think the first time I remember actually trying to lose weight was 6th grade.
Wow.
I had Levi 501s, button ups, and, and those are the first pants I remember outgrowing. And, so it started then, and it was a constant battle. And then I was in high school, and I was a gymnast. I was really muscular. I was never skinny ever. And I made the captain of the dance team in high school. And our coach sat me down. I was probably a size 10. My coach sat me down and said, you need to start eating salads because I am not taking a fat captain to state.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, oh my. And so that kind of just reinforced what had been fun doing, aerobics with mom and all that stuff now became full-time. We got to obsess about this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just, and
that's what's crazy. Like, as a mom of 2 girls, I am always thinking about, what am I telling my girls? Where am I at? And I actually just had a conversation with a woman who had a 16-year-old, and she's like, my daughter is like really doing fine. Like, she's not, hasn't taken on the obsession that I have. And in my head, I'm like, I think she probably is more than you realize, but we don't know, because how will she be at 26 and 36, right? And none of us know that. But also, there are other voices out there other than your own. If you're not actively working against those voices, You're just not saying certain things, they're still going to get those messages.
And the thing is, I'll bet you that coach doesn't even remember saying that to me.
And yeah, all
And
these years
that
later.
one sentence changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking a fat captain to state. And I thought, I weigh 130 pounds, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not fat.
Yeah.
Like, but I wasn't.
It didn't have to do with your skill set or your
No,
leadership abilities.
right. Exactly. And it was just like,
So that's what we learn and that's what we hear. So let's fast forward for 1 second, because that'll
Mhm.
give us back into like the past. You find us
Yes.
decades and decades later, like
Diets and diets later.
diets and diets later on Facebook, on like, right?
I don't even, it must have been on Facebook. I honestly don't even, it had to have been on Facebook, but I don't remember clicking on it. I honestly,
You were like blindly just clicking on all the night.
It was probably 3 a.m. and I couldn't sleep and I got up and started scrolling.
You could probably look at the data and see what time it was.
Yeah, seriously, I don't know.
You should look.
I don't know.
Okay, so by the time that you came to us, though, and you shared your story with us, how many diets had you been on, do you think? Like, how much money do you think you spent? How much investment in your time, energy, all of that had you spent on diets?
How much investment in my time and energy? You mentioned the money, you mentioned the diet number. That's the key. I thought about food all the time. Whether or not I was putting it in my mouth, I was thinking about the next meal. I was thinking about what I could eat. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about what was allowed on whatever thing I was following that time. And it was my life. I mean, and I always ate a separate meal from my family. Always.
Wow.
And my boys are like, so what's mom eat? Can mom eat this? Can we go here? Can mom eat that? Can mom do that? And I just thought, this is.
And what does that teach your boys about what a woman does?
Exactly. And it was just like, oh man, I've had that conversation with them a couple times, just like, hey, we're not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. Because and I actually had that conversation before I found Disruptive Nutrition, because we moved to Nebraska from Seattle in 2019.
Okay.
And it's always been my goal to live in Lincoln, Nebraska. I know that sounds crazy, but that's
interesting to me.
My life dream. We lived on both coasts and overseas, and I loved Lincoln so much I couldn't wait to get back here. So when we finally got here, it was just like, I'm here. I'm here. I'm so excited. And now I knew we had, all those foods that you remember having in college and things that I thought, oh gosh, I can't have those, whatever. And I thought, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. I am done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to just be happy. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to be happy. I'm going to, enjoy my family. I'm going to enjoy my life. And then COVID hit. Mm-hmm. I'm married to a chef.
I was going to say, we should tell everybody that what your husband does.
Yes. Now, this is funny because we got married, and we had been married for maybe 6-7 months. And you've got to understand, before I got married, I was still in college when we got married. So I moved like kind of from the dorms in the sorority house in with my new husband. Wow. And I went from eating, dorm fridge food, taco salads and sandwiches, basically what I lived on. And then I moved in with my husband, who wanted to impress his new bride with, cream sauce. And I had never known about cream sauce. And I thought, this is kind of yummy. I think I can do this. And I put cream sauce on about everything, and it showed up. But it was summertime in Nebraska, which is hot. So, and I'm in college. So basically I wore elastic waist shorts and white tank tops. I mean, we didn't even wear black tank tops because it's too hot. It attracts too much sun. Yeah. So you wear white, extra large tank tops, big, loose fitting, flowy things. So I didn't notice that I had packed on 60 pounds the first 6 months we were married. And I had to student teach in the fall. And I thought, oh, I should try on my clothes. I might have trouble zipping them up. I better try my clothes. Oh, I couldn't zip them up because I couldn't get them on. Yeah. And I was devastated. So I went and started my first diet program. I'd done Weight Watchers, and all that stuff throughout my high school and, into my college, but I started
your first real investment, I guess, right?
Yes. I funded my first real investment taking out a student loan, and I didn't even take out student loans for school.
So you took a student loan out for a diet. And you hadn't taken out any student loans?
I had not taken out any student loans for school, but I took one out for this diet. I just panicked because I thought, okay, I have to student teach. I have a full wardrobe. I have a professional wardrobe I can wear to student teach. I either spend the money on a wardrobe or spend the money on a diet. I'm just going to do the diet.
Okay.
And the scary thing is I got so thick. I looked like death walking, and I still wasn't at my Weight Watchers goal weight.
Oh gosh. And yet that's like the definition of something working.
Oh, I looked like, I look back at pictures and I just like, oh, I look
What did you
terrible.
do for that diet? It was just
I did
deprivation.
not chew for 6 months. I drank chocolate shakes. There were 3 flavors of shakes available. I only drank chocolate. I drank 5 chocolate shakes every day for 6 months. I did not chew for 6 months.
Oh my gosh. I always talk about how you lose weight has to be how you maintain it, because your body can't handle the swap, right? And
Right.
the sudden change. And you couldn't possibly have done that for the rest of your life.
No, obviously not.
Nor would you let a kid do it, nor
Right.
is it based in science designed for your body to thrive for the long term. So all
Right.
the
Yeah.
reasons, all of our litmus tests would have been a no.
But the people wore white coats when I went to
Oh,
weigh in. So therefore they looked like medical professionals. So surely they had to know, right? I mean,
right.
that's
But
kind
our
of where I
number
was
one,
at.
it's so funny too, because our number one clients are doctors, nurses, teachers, and then you know who else? Health coaches. Isn't that crazy?
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
So,
It's
okay. So that was your first of many, many, many diets, because it just kept doing this whole thing. Am I right?
I have gained and lost the same 75 to 100 pounds over a dozen times.
And
My whole life has been gaining or losing weight. I look back at photo albums and I can tell you which diet I was on. That's how
wow.
most people are like, oh, that was the 80s. Oh, that was what I'm like, oh, that was Optifast. Oh, that was LA weight loss. Oh, that was,
Yeah.
I know all the diets, it's just
Yeah.
like,
And so by the time you came to us, so you were you had gone through this, I'm done. And I say this all the time. I say it's just like money. Like if we just like hoard all of our money and say we're never going to spend it and we get really restrictive, we live no life and it's absolutely miserable and that's not sustainable. Or if we just say, forget it, you know what? I'm not going to think about money. I don't like the burden of thinking about money. I'm just not going to think about it. Well, you're going to be broke. Right.
mhm,
But yet when it comes to food, we think those are the two options.
right.
We go all restrictive or we just don't think about it at all. So now you had tried that. And then when you
Well,
came to us, you were like, that's not seemingly working.
well, and it was very confusing to me because my husband, I mentioned I'm married to a chef. He was unemployed for 15 months when we moved here.
Okay.
So he was home all the time. And we have a rule that I don't cook unless he's in a different zip code.
Okay. So he was not in a different zip code.
No, he was in the same house the whole time.
Yep.
So, and he's like, I don't want to cook all the time. And I'm like, well, then you're gonna have to go for a real long walk because that just went.
That zip code is far away.
Yeah, but but then a friend gifted us or shared a code for a free week of HelloFresh meals, and I thought, oh, let's try this. And so we loved it because we could both be in the kitchen together for the first time ever, because it wasn't his recipe, it wasn't my recipe, it was us working together, and it was a blast. We loved it. So we started doing HelloFresh, and we loved about that is it was portion controlled, it was balanced. You had your protein, your starch, and your veg. And I thought, here we're eating well, and we were pretty much cooking fresh cooked meals for breakfast and breakfast and lunch. I thought, I'm eating probably better than I have consistent, and I'm still gaining weight. I'm like, what is the deal? What is I'm like, I just can't win. And I'm like, you know what? It doesn't even matter because I'm so happy. I don't even care. But we live in a house where our laundry room is in the basement, and our bedroom is on the second floor, and we have an Airbnb, and we have 2 bedrooms, one on the main floor and one on the second floor. So I'm doing laundry, multiple loads every single day. And I start with the room upstairs. I strip the beds, I grab the towels, and then I go to this. And so I'm doing the stairs all the time, which shouldn't be a big deal. And I could not climb up and down the stairs to do the laundry. I mean, every day we do laundry. It was like, here we go. And I would get upstairs after doing the laundry, and I would need a recovery period.
Yeah.
And
So
I
it
thought,
became
okay,
a problem.
Mm-hmm. And when I found a new doctor, and I hadn't even, I'd found this doctor, and one of the first things he said, he looked at my numbers and looked at my blood work, and he said, you might really want to work on, getting healthy or whatever. And I just thought, oh, for Pete's sakes, because all my other doctors would always says, oh, your blood work looks great, whatever. And he was like, your blood work it's not terrible, but I've seen, if you look at the
going in a
trend
direction.
yeah, he goes, this is not continuing on, this is not going to be ideal. And so you really want to, but again, he's like, it's calories in, calories out. You need to burn more.
No idea.
And I'm like, okay, don't even. And then he sent me to a dietitian. And the funny thing is, I met once with the dietitian. I thought, I'm not going. She's going to be 20. She's not going to have ever been on a diet. And she's going to sit there and tell me I need to burn more calories than I take in. I ghosted her after the first appointment because I'm like, I met her. She was lovely, but it's not that I hadn't heard it all 12 times in my, or more in my life. And I knew all of that.
Yeah. I mean, you actually had how many years of notebooks and journals that you talk to us about that?
Yeah, no, I had 10 years worth of food journals, spiral notebooks, little spiral notebooks that would fit in my purse. And each page had a day, and I would write down everything I ate and my weight in the morning. Every single day for 10 years.
I want to know, what kind of a novel you could have written. You could be like,
that's one of my goals is to write a book at some time. And I thought, I wrote a book, and it's not at all very interesting.
Well, maybe now you could write about a book about this.
Yeah, there we go.
So now let's just fast forward real quickly to today. Mm-hmm. Are you keeping food journals?
Not at all. I didn't way before I started. I had to do some research and go back in my in my medical record to see what I weigh, because I had gone to the doctor about 3 weeks before I started this program, or before I started living the disruptive nutrition lifestyle. I had been to the doctor about 3 weeks before, so I kind of had that as a benchmark. But I normally weighed and measured. I have records of everything, but 2019 I was done. I didn't do that anymore, whatever. And I didn't, so I don't know even how much I've lost or what, but it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And for me to say that is so crazy, because that's usually the whole point.
I know. But didn't you go to the doctor recently?
I went to the doctor
Did you go back to that same doctor?
I did. I went back to the doctor 4 weeks into disruptive nutrition.
Yeah.
And I didn't ask I didn't, I was just like, whatever. And the doctor came in, he goes, sat down and said, okay, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Why?
He says, you've dropped 20 pounds. And I was just like, wow. And the thing is, when you have such a huge amount of weight to lose, when you're looking at, you need to lose 100 pounds, 20 pounds, most people don't even notice, just looking at you, typically if you lose 20 pounds, people are like, wow. But when you're carrying an extra 100 pounds around, you might not notice 20 pounds. But again, and it was so strange for me, because normally your focus is on your weight, your measurements, whatever. And I said, I'm done with that. And the whole thing is, I was waking up in the morning. I was ready to start the day. I could climb those stairs without needing my recoup. That was my and being able to put on my socks. I know that sounds silly. But I can put on my socks now without having to lift up my leg and put it on.
And when your brain is so focused on the scale, you can start to notice these other measures of progress, and yet you end up losing weight.
The irony is when I stopped focusing on the weight, I started losing the weight.
There you go. Say that again. I feel like
when I stopped focusing on losing weight, I started losing weight. When I stopped focusing on the scale, because how many times you step on the scale, you've been so good, you've done all the things right, and you get on the scale and it hasn't moved, or worse yet, you've gained a pound. It's just like, forget it.
Yep.
Let's go have that brownie that's been downstairs calling my name.
And now, and here's, the thing is, it's like, you're now in the middle, right? Like, it's not like you're obsessing and restrictive. It's not like you've given up completely. Talk about what you now know about food and how to fuel your body, because this isn't just like this foo-foo thing. I don't think about weight and I lost weight. Like, that's not what happened. You actually learned some stuff and you're doing it. But the difference is it's that middle ground that I think people are
Yes.
looking for. You have guardrails and freedom.
Yes.
So
Yes.
let's go into that.
I'm living in the middle of the guardrails every day, and I love it. And that's where the freedom is. That's where, I have always battled food. I've always been in a competition with food. It seems like sometimes I'm winning, sometimes I'm losing, but I'm always in conflict with food. I went 3 years, my most successful diet. I went 3 years. I did not eat any gluten. I did not eat any refined sugar for 3 years.
Sounds miserable.
Eventually it just was like, I haven't had a piece of birthday cake in 3 years. My gosh, my kids brought me home my favorite birthday cake. I'm going to eat a piece, and then it's like, but then because you have that mindset, you don't think, oh, I can eat a piece and I can live, it's all or nothing. Oh, well, I ate a piece of chocolate cake and it was a 6-layer chocolate cake from Costco. So therefore I am a failure. Let's just rock and roll and go get them all to go with it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
exactly.
And I've been in this constant battle with food, and it, like I said, sometimes I'm winning and sometimes I'm losing, but I'm ready to fight. I can come to the fight. And I'm at peace now with food. And that's the craziest. I didn't know how freeing that would be. I don't think you wouldn't believe how much more time I have in my day.
Well, you should. My goodness, you're not writing a book every day.
That's right. But
and that's part of the reason why you're like, I want to work with you all. I have capacity, time, and a new freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It's just, and I just know there are other women out there who have tried all the things, who have done all the things, who have been successful at the things until they're not. And the thing is, every time I would hit my goal and then I had more to lose the next time. The first time it was 60 pounds. Second time it was 70 pounds. Third time we're talking 85 pounds. Fourth time it was 100 pounds. Then it was 110 pounds. And it's like that's just so hard. I'm like, I've been so mean to my body. That's brutal.
Exactly.
For my body to take that. That's abuse,
And what you're doing now, I love how you and your body are speaking the same language, right? You're speaking your body's love language. You're eating, you're not feeling deprived. You can have your cream sauce even.
Yes.
And talk about, you recently went to a football game. You shared this in our membership group, right? Or was it a football game?
It was a tailgate party.
A tailgate party. And you go to the same one every year. So you had pictures and you knew. So talk about what that transformation has been like in the last year terms of what you noticed about what you were wearing.
Well, the funny thing is that because I was like, I'm not going to obsess about the scale. I took before pictures, but they were in the, sports bra and they're not pictures I'm going to post anywhere. You know what I'm saying? I took like those pictures, but I did, as a larger woman, I just didn't take full-size picture. I didn't take full body pictures.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, oh, I'm kind of sad that I don't have any full pictures to go and compare I thought, wait, at the tailgate, we go to this tailgate at the governor's residence and before each home game. And I thought, oh, I've got tailgate pictures, and we take the picture with the governor, And so I went and compared the tailgate pictures from last year to this year. And it was just amazing. I was just like, wow, because again, when you have a lot of weight to lose, you might not see the results as quickly. And I knew that going in. So I thought, I'm just going to stay the course. And the thing was, when the cravings disappeared and the hunger, I'm not hungry. I'm not craving stuff. So it didn't matter so much. I don't know, when it's just where your focus is, but I love that there's always something I can pull together. I mean, even if I don't have, I can go grab, chicken, I can grab some pistachios, and I can grab in a desperate, I can take a scoop of peanut butter, a little teaspoon of peanut butter, a tablespoon of peanut butter, and call it good. There's always something I can grab. And it's totally doable. I don't have a panic over having to, I don't obsess about it. eat.
It's amazing too, and we know this for sure around obsession and stress. It totally raises our cortisol level, which actually makes it almost impossible then to release weight. And by just having that confidence in what you're doing is right,
Yeah.
just that alone is a huge benefit. But that tailgate this year, you wore like zip up bonafide jeans, right?
First
As
time
opposed
ever.
to
I've got to
elastic
tell
pants.
you. I've got to tell you, I've worn the same pull up stretchy waist pants from Walmart for 3 years. I go by the 3 basic black and the 3 basic brown and the double X, and then I went down to the single X, but I just had those, and I pair it with a different top, but that's my bottoms. That's what I've worn forever. And I wore jeans to my last tailgate, and the sad thing is they're kind of big. I missed them. You know, they fit in my pile. I missed a total pile that I just bypassed.
You just bypassed the whole size.
You know how we have our closets with the smaller clothes on the side and the bigger, and I missed a whole chunk in the middle.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. I love that. So I've one other question for you really is what made you decide to say yes to us? Because there had to be some fear there, some trepidation, because you have literally done it all and you have the 10 years of a novel to prove it. And then we come along, someone you rarely don't even remember how you found me on a random Facebook ad. And you said yes to investing in yourself and agreeing to say this would be the last nutritional advice you'd ever need?
I didn't say yes right away. It took me a little bit of time to think it through, and because I couldn't fail again.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I just couldn't take another failure. And I thought, if I'm going to do this, I don't want it to be another time. I can't fail. And I knew I could, like I said, I'm a professional dieter. I'm really good at it. But this isn't, it's not, that's the cool thing is I'm not checking any boxes. It's just grab your protein, grab your fat, grab your carb, put it together and eat it and come back 3 hours later.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that my body tells me when it's been 3 hours. And when I started, I had my alarms set and everything. And now I just know when it's been 3 hours.
You have now learned intuitive eating, which is not something you can do until you learn how to eat correctly.
Exactly.
Intuitive eating doesn't happen when you and your body are not speaking the same language.
Yeah, exactly.
And then also, your whole mindset around food had to be shaken up a lot, And so it's, you got to give yourself more credit than just the fact that you eat the right food. You did the work. I call it bowling. You picked up the bowling ball and you bowled, because even though we put the gutter guards down, you still had a bowl and you had to do the work that it took to be able to dig into your thinking, why you do the things you do, and really allow yourself a new way of looking at your body, around your relationship with food and what your purpose was.
And that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this has changed my life in so many ways. It's not just how I feel. It's not just even how I look, which isn't even, but that's changing significant. I mean, my ice cube is melting and it's kind of excited. It took a long time, but I'm finally there. But it's my whole outlook is different because of the 15 to 20 minutes every morning, just committing to myself and having kind of like a date with myself, I guess. I kind of consider it, my time. I curl up in my little chair and I've got my video and I'm watching, and it's great because it's 15 or 20 minutes a day. It's a little nugget every single day. So you're building on what you've learned and you're seeing results in the things you've already done. Yep. So it's like you're reinforcing the things you've already learned as you go through the training. And then once you get into month 2 and 3, it's just like, whoa, because you didn't even realize you needed it. It's just like, exactly. It's like, wow, I and by month 3, man, I was going for a walk in the morning with my earbuds in, because it was,
I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you. I am just so thrilled that I found this lifestyle, because
so what made you say yes at the end of the day? Because you were so scared and there was a lot of fear, but you ended up saying yes. And I always am so enthralled, because it's easy to say no when fear is driving, and you somehow worked past that fear. What did you do?
Well, it's safer to say no, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels safer anyway.
Yeah.
you know, whether or not it truly is. But
it's actually more dangerous to say no, let's be honest.
It's definitely more dangerous to say no, but it's safer for your ego. You know what I mean? It's easier, I guess, is what I should say. But I couldn't get it out of my mind. And I just thought, well, this kind of makes sense. I mean, the whole blood sugar stabilization thing it's like, how could I never have heard of this?
I know.
I mean, I literally have done everything. I know about keto. I've done that. I know all the things. I know intermittent fasting. I've done that. I've done, you know, I've done, if you name it, I've likely done it. And it's just like, and I know, and usually when I do something, I'm like, yeah, heard this before, been there, done that, you know, whatever. But I hadn't heard this before. It was something new. And I thought, but it was simple and it was understandable and it just made sense. And then when I started following the PFC model and actually, eating 5 or 6 times a day and just feeling so good, I knew it worked. And then I was just like, you're not stopping me now. That train's on the track and I'm coming full blast.
You are on it. And you are like the age train. You're just like, I love that. Like we get on this train and we actually like reverse all of that aging and all that, risk for metabolic disease that we've been riding.
And my father passed away with Alzheimer's. And that's the scariest thing in that's what I'm most fear. And I'm like, and my husband's diabetic.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay. And so that's and the coolest thing is that my family's kind of starting to notice that I'm not doing a thing, that I'm just living, that, oh, this one's different, and so there's, my chef husband's starting to ask questions about, okay, so tell me tell me what's in this and tell me why you did it that way. And okay, that's interesting.
And that's part of this. This is the movement that we're talking about. And once the mom, right? Once the woman starts to really get it right and is no longer doing this crazy dieting thing, and yet it's working, it starts to rub off. We are an influencer. It's why I call us our momfluencers. And that your story is so familiar to so many other diet disruptors like you, because they realize once you put your oxygen mask on, then you can put on others, but you don't have to force it on them. They end up wanting it eventually too.
Yeah.
And you're going to save his life too.
I just, and I'm keeping us out of the Alzheimer's.
Exactly.
I mean, because they're so closely related. And I'm like,
they call it type 3 diabetes.
Yep, that's right.
So, I mean, this is not about, yes, I mean, weight loss is a byproduct, but it's so much bigger and more important than that, which keeps you going because the why is really strong. Yeah. Karen Lynne, you are so inspirational. And ladies, here's the thing. When we bring on our coaches, we want to be able to support you and to love on you and to show you that there is a better way. That's why we say, do our free training and get on a call with a coach. We want you to do a training so that you know a little bit, so that you can ask the right questions with a coach and be able to get a plan for yourself. And who knows, you might get Karen Lynne as somebody to talk to. Wouldn't that be awesome? Karen Lynne, we are just beyond excited, not just for your own transformation, but for the impact that you're going to have on so many other women, which is really what our purpose is. Our purpose was not to find the right diet. Your purpose was to serve others. And I love that through disruptive nutrition, you're able to do that.
Thank you.
You're the best. High five, girl. All right, you guys, comment below on what you're taking away from Karen Lynne's inspirational story. And then you got to remind me why you haven't gotten on a call with one of us. Huh? Tell me why. We'll put a link in the comments for that. All right, Karen Lynne, enjoy the rest of your day. We love you.
Sure. Well, thank you.